Namaskar, I'm Neil, and I welcome all of you to the 8th video in our Sherlocking Prelims 2022 analysis series. We have analyzed the first 70 questions of Prelims 2022, and we will begin where we left from in the last video, which is from question number 71. As usual, before we begin our discussion, we're going to just have a quick recap of the two pillars which are pivotal to our analysis. Those two pillars are fairly simple. The first pillar is knowing that in this examination at this point in time, all you need is basic sources plus common sense. And this is a lethal combination. It is going to take you to places. If you have any doubts about the efficacy of this, of this concoction, just go through the previous discussions and you would realize how effective this combination is. Second pillar is even more pivotal, which says that an overview and overarching understanding of the syllabus is going to be far more rewarding to you than an in-depth knowledge. Sometimes the more in-depth knowledge you have in a topic, the more likely you are to get stuck in 50-50. If you just think like a layman based on very basic knowledge, you're going to be decisive, and more often than not, you're going to arrive at the right answer. So with those two principles in our mind, let's resume our discussion. Let's come to question number 71. Question number 71 says, in India, which one of the following compiles information on industrial disputes, closures, retrenchments, and layoffs in factory employing workers? So I did not have much idea about this question. I just looked at the options. Again, as the fictional character Harvey Specter says, you don't have to play the odds, you have to play the man. So similarly, in UPSC Prelims, you don't have to play the question, you have to play the options. I will look at the option and I'll find the option which is most closest to the theme of the question. CSO, generally CSO compiles a lot of data, but I'm not sure if it compiles data on industrial disputes. So I'm going to hold. Until now, my preferred option is A. B says Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. I haven't read anywhere that industrial and internal trade department has something to do with compilation of information. So I'm still going to prefer A over B. I come to option number C. C says Labor Bureau. Now, Labor Bureau, in my eyes, is more directly related to industrial disputes, layoffs in factories employing workers, and closures, retrenchments. All of these are labor-based issues. All these four themes on which the information is being compiled are one way or the other related to labor. I find that keyword in option number C. Option number C says Labor Bureau, and I'm inclined to believe that C is the most likeliest of the option amongst the first three that we've read so far. Still, I never marked in the OMR before going through all the options first. Option number D says National Technical Manpower Information System. No idea at all. C is the most prominent organization out of all four as far as labor issues are concerned. So using that basic heuristic, the heuristic is simple. Since this question has not come from a basic source, logical reasoning will get you to places more often than not. The themes that are being spoken about are related to labor, and C is related to labor. I make that connection, mark C, move on to the next question, take a +2. C is indeed the right answer to question number 71. Let's come to question number 72. Question number 72 says, India, what is the role of Coal Controllers Organization? Select the correct answer. Let's see. So it says, I have never heard of this organization, CCO. I don't think you could ever come to a point wherein you would have read of this organization explicitly. So let's look at the four statements. And let's look at the option combination. The first thing that you should observe is there is no option which says all of the above. So at least one of these four is incorrect. Let's see statement number 1. Statement number 1 says CCO is the major source of coal. Statistics in Government of India is the major source. Again, it doesn't say it is the exclusive source. So major doesn't have an extremist connotation to it, unlike the word sole, exclusive. So I'm going to let it pass. I'm not decisive over 1 yet, but I don't have a strong enough reason to negate 1. 2 says it monitors progress of development of captive coal and lignite blocks. Again, monitor is a very soft directive. Supervision also is a soft directive. It doesn't speak of any exclusive powers that CCO has. So of course it could monitor. I don't have a strong enough reason to negate 2 either. So I'm going to still hold. So until now, my preferred option is one between A, C, and D. I'm going to hold. I'm going to read through the last 2 statements as well. Statement number 3 says, it hears any objection to the government's notification relating to acquisition of coal-bearing areas. Now, as soon as I see the word any, my alarm bells are raised. And because we have observed, directives like any, all, more often than not lead to an incorrect statement. I'm really skeptical about statement 3. If I eliminate 3, the options that I'm left with are C and D. Let's see, I'm going to hold. I'm going to look at option number 4, statement number 4 as well. 4 says it ensures that coal mining companies deliver the coal to end users in the prescribed time. It ensures that coal mining companies, and ensuring this also is related to the keyword, to its name, Coal Controllers Organization. So I make that correlation. I make the correlation of the name of the organization with statement number 4. And if I were to mark an option, I would be inclined to mark D. That is the option I picked in the examination hall. According to a lot of coaching analysis from different coaching centers, the answer that is being claimed at this point in time is option number A. So according to them, it does hear any objection to government's notification, and it does not ensure that the delivery happens on time. So even I am personally not sure, at least as far as this question is concerned. I might be wrong. Maybe when the UPSC releases the answer key, we'd see 50-50 chance either the answer is A, answer is D. If the answer is A, I don't have a logic as to why you would prefer 3 over 4, because 3 has the word any, which is more often than not incorrect. So even if I have taken a negative in this question, I can live with it, because as I keep reiterating, any heuristic, any commonsensical dictum can only have a hit rate of 80%. If this is one of those exceptional 20% case wherein it doesn't work, I'm open to taking the negative. I would reiterate, according to my logical approach, the answer turns out to be D. According to a lot of coaching institutes, the correct answer as per them is option number A. We'll have to wait for UPSC's official answer key, but I don't mind being wrong in this question, because any heuristic is only going to give you around 80% hit rate. Let's see how it works in the next question. Next question is, if a particular area is brought under the 5th schedule of the, so every year, I kid you not, go through any previous question, every year or at least every second year, you'd have a question on one of the schedules of the Constitution. So this topic becomes really important. So it says, which one of the following statements best reflects the consequence of it? Very simple, straightforward question. Ideally, you should not even have to apply common sense and logical reasoning in such questions. This is directly come from basic sources, basic understanding of Constitution, basic understanding of schedules of the Constitution. The answer is unambiguously A. This would prevent the transfer of land of tribal people to non-tribal people. Yes, it is correct. B can happen, but B is not compulsory. This would create a local self-governing body in an area. So it is not a necessary consequence, can happen, but not a necessary consequence. A, on the other hand, is a necessary consequence. So it's okay if you're confused between A and B, but that only means that your revision is not up to the mark. Statement number C is outrightly incorrect. C says this was convert the area in UT, of course not. And D says the state having would be declared a special category state, outrageous, unambiguously incorrect. Answer is A, very basic question. So you just need to focus on your basics. What is the basic source? Constitution, schedule of the Constitution. Next year, you're going to ask, they have asked a question on 9th schedule a lot of times. They've asked a question on 4th schedule a lot of times. They've asked a question on even 8th schedule a lot of times. So revise your schedules well, stick to basics, and know a question is guaranteed to come from Constitution. So let's come to next question. Question number 74. Question number 74 says, consider the following statements. Which of the above are correct? I had no idea about either of these 2 statements. The answers given to these questions are different based on which coaching centers key you are referring. I have my own opinion about it. I'm going to share it really soon. So question says, दो statement दी हुई है. Options are as usual 1, 2, 1 and 2, neither. Statement number 1, the Indian Sanitation Coalition is a platform to promote sustainable sanitation. Abhi tak to I don't find anything worth negating, and is funded by Government of India and the World Health Organization. I have spoken about this dictum over and over again. When combination of two organizations are given, more often than not, it is incorrect. So I'm inclined to believe that this is incorrect. This dictum has worked once in the question paper, in the same question paper. It has failed once in the first video. But so okay, I can assure you, if you go to the previous questions, this dictum has a hit rate in excess of 80%. If you feel I'm incorrect, you feel free to engage in the comment box. So I know this dictum works like a charm. I know when the combination of two organizations is given, there are 80% chances that it is incorrect. So I negate one based on that information. I come to statement number 2. Statement number 2 says the National Institute of Urban Affairs is an apex body of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and provides innovative solutions. So I'm not happy with the word apex body. Apex again has an extreme connotation associated with it. If the question were to say, let's say the National Institute of Urban Affairs is an attached body, then I would be inclined to believe that the statement is correct. I'm not happy with the word apex because apex has an extreme connotation associated with it. I eliminate 2 also. And I mark D. According to 70-80% of institutes, I'm correct. They are also claiming that the answer is D. There are some other institutes who say the answer is B. In my opinion, 99% chances are there that statement number D is going to be correct. We're going to wait, we're going to watch, and I have no doubt that the answer is going to be D. But if UPSC comes out with the key and says that option number B is the answer, I don't have a problem with that. So 1 is unambiguously incorrect because combination of two organizations more often than not incorrect. So there is no doubt about statement number 1. And I have eliminated 2. I'm going to repeat again. I eliminated 2 because the word apex body has an extreme connotation. That is why I come to option number D, which in my opinion is the right answer. Question 75. Both of these themes have been repeated over and over again. The bodies which are constituted under EPA. This question has been asked at least twice in the previous questions. Questions on WPA, questions on Environment Protection Act, question on pollution control, Central Pollution Control Board. I mean, these questions are being repeated over and over again. So you should be preparing these organizations well. I did prepare EPA well. I knew this question directly, CGWA. Even CGWA has featured heavily in previous questions as one of the plausible options. So let's say next year, if you're preparing for 2023, even though the answer to this question is not Central Water Commission, it is not Central Groundwater Board, it is not Central Water Development Agency, National Water Development Agency, you'll have to go back, and I would encourage you to read about these 3 organizations too. Because there are chances that maybe next year UPSC makes a question exclusively on Central Water Commission or on Central Groundwater Board. That is how you should prepare, right? So let's say you were not directly aware of this question. You're not aware if CGWA is the body which is, which has been constituted under EPA. We have discussed about the examiner's constraint, and we have discussed how it is very difficult to make incorrect options without outrightly give the right answer. Option number B and C sound so similar. B says Central Groundwater Board. C says Central Groundwater Authority. So when there are 2 similar looking options, there are very high chances that answer is one amongst the 2. So then you can easily arrive at 50-50, even if you've not explicitly read it. Then it is down to your luck. Ideally, though, luck should not have any role to play in a question like this. This theme has been repeated, and a repeated theme should be out there for the taking. So ideally, you should be marking C very easily. Even if you were not being able to mark C, B and C are similar looking options. The answer is for sure between B and C. You can take that insight. You can take that approach. Let's come to question number 76. Question number 76 says, which of these statements above are correct? UN Credential Committee. I've not heard of this committee. Let's see. Again, another thing that you should focus on when you look at the option is there's no option that says all of the above. So let's see. One said it's a committee set up by UNSC and works under its supervision. Could be. I don't have a strong enough reason to negate one yet. Let's wait. Statement number 2 says it traditionally meets in March, June, and September every year. Now it is full of data points. So data point is March, June, September, and every year. Maybe they meet in March and June and September every second year. In that case, this statement would stand incorrect. Let's say they meet every year, but not in March, June, or September. Then also it is incorrect. Let's say they meet every year, but not in March, only in June, September, August. Then also statement is incorrect. So there are a lot of ways in which statement 2 could be incorrect. So I am inclined to believe that 2 is incorrect. I eliminate 2. I arrive at a 50-50. I'm sure that 2 is incorrect. Very low chances for 2 to be correct. And we're going to see this pattern over and over again, as in how you analyze more and more questions. When a statement is full of trivial information, it is more likely that even if one of those trivia is incorrect, this whole statement stands negated. That is why I negate number 2. Statement number 3 says it assesses the credentials of all the UN members before submitting a report to the General Assembly for approval. Now, this is where the catch arises. 1 and 3 are incompatible. So if it's a committee which is working under the supervision of UNSC, why would it submit the report to UNGA? This fact did not sit well with me. Right? Of course, you need to have a uniform chain of command. So let's say you're reporting to me. If you're reporting to me, you submit the report to me. Why would you submit the report to someone else? Similarly, if the committee was set up by UNSC and if it were working under the supervision of UNSC, I don't have a strong enough reason as to why it would submit a report to UNGA. So 1 and 3 in my eyes are incompatible. There is no option which says 1 only. So I'll eliminate B. I mark A. Again, turned out to be the right answer. So what is the point that I'm trying to make? I have repeated it over and over again. You have to believe me when I tell you this. And the proof of the pudding lies in eating. If you don't trust me, I'm okay with that. Don't trust me. Use these same heuristics, use these same dictums based on your basic sources and common sense in the previous questions. Either a question has straight away come from from a basic source, or the question requires commonsensical approach from your side. This question hasn't come from a basic source. I don't read a compendium on UN. It is not a mandated part of my mandated curriculum. So I'm inclined to believe this question could be solved with logical reasoning. Logical reasoning tells me that 2 has a lot of trivial information. Even if one of those trivial information is incorrect, the entire statement stands incorrect. 1 and 3 are incompatible. I mark A. Again, turns out to be the right answer. Let's move to the next question. Question number 77. This was my favorite question in the entire paper. This question is similar to this another question we did. I think question number 42. I'm not entirely sure. Question number 41. Similar to question 41, you remember this question 41 was about climate action tracker. And I solved it by talking about how you need to focus on the context and not on content. This is a similar question. And this is even easier than that. And I'll show you how. I had no idea what is polar code. No idea, of course, I know. Since I have no idea, nobody in the entire nation would have the idea, because I've been in the cycle for 5 years. I have read a lot. I have studied a lot. So you need to have that self-belief. So I had that self-belief. I knew nobody else knows about it. So this is a question from logical reasoning. Let's look at the options. I focus on the content first. Let's try to understand what my polar code stand for. So one says it is the International Code of Safety for Ships Operating in Polar Waters. Could be. Let's look at statement number B, option number B. B says it is the agreement of the countries around North Pole regarding the demarcation of their territories in the polar region. I can see the keyword polar in option number B also. So I'm going to hold. I don't have a strong enough reason to negate B yet, or A either. Option number C says It is a set of norms to be followed by the countries whose scientists undertake research studies in the North Pole and South Pole. Again, I see the keyword pole here based on the content. I still can't negate C. Statement number D says, option number D says, it is a trade and security agreement of the member countries of Arctic Council. Again, could be. I don't have a strong enough reason to negate D either. So I'm stuck, I'm confused. I don't have a strong enough reason to negate either. I don't know which one to choose. And suddenly this insight strikes me when I'm sitting in the examination hall. Maybe this question, just like question number 41, is not about the content, but about the context. What is the context? Context is code. This is the polar code. Let's look at the options now. Option A talks about a code. Option B talks about an agreement. Option C speaks about a set of norms. And option number D speaks about an agreement. Do you see the correlation now for yourself? There's a direct correlation. The only keyword association that exists in this question is with respect to the keyword code. Code, the keyword is mentioned in the question. The keyword is mentioned in option number A. Very fairly confidently I mark A, again turns out to be the right answer. So that is why I say you really need to be observant. You really need to keep your eyes, your mind open, and you should believe me when I tell you this. Either the question is going to come from a common source or it can be solved using common sense. I can't state it enough. Let's come to question number 78. So 78, again, another question on UN. With reference to UNGA, okay, consider the following statements. Which of the statements given above are correct? Let's see. So one says UNGA can grant observer status to the non-member states. Can. Soft directive. I don't have a strong enough reason to negate it yet. I'm going to hold. Option number 2 says, statement number 2 says, intergovernmental organizations can seek observer status in the UNGA. Again, can. Of course they can. Why can they not? Option number 3, statement number 3 says, permanent observers in the UNGA can maintain missions at the UN headquarters. Again, the directive is can. All three of these are soft. All three of these are speaking about the common theme of the observer status. There is no incoherence between any of these statements. So I very confidently mark D. I would repeat the logic. I would repeat the heuristic. The directive that is being used in all three of these statements is can. It's a soft directive. It's not a mandate. All these three statements are talking about the same theme, which is the observer status. And no two statements are incoherent. Sometimes it happens that two of these statements are incoherent, as was the case in the last question on UN that we saw. In this, I don't see that incoherence. So D is what I mark, again, turned out to be the right answer. Because I believe if that question has not come from a common source, it can be solved with common sense. And, we make that happen on the ground. You've seen how we've solved all these questions, in a row. Second last question of the day, question number 79. Question 79 says, with reference to the T-board in India, consider the following statements. Which of the statements given above is correct? Let's see. Again, play the options, not the question. No option which says all of the above. Exactly 2 of these 4 are correct. So 2 are incorrect, 2 are correct. You should consider this before you move on to the options. Let's look at the options. Look at the statements first. Statement 1 says, the T-board is a statutory body. Okay, hogi, why not? Most of the boards are statutory, but I can't convincingly eliminate it yet, neither can I approve it. I'm going to hold. Come to statement number 2. 2 says it is a regulatory body attached to the Ministry of Agri and Farmers Welfare. No idea yet. I'm going to hold. 3 says T-board's head office is situated in Bangalore. Now, for one, I have lived in Bangalore, so I know that no such office exists. That is one thing. So that was, the slumdog millionaire based information that I spoke about in this third or fourth video, wherein, I had gone to Gandi Kota, and that is why I knew Pennar is the river which flows near that gorge. Here, even if, let's say, you're not aware of you've not been in Bengaluru, you should know the head office is more likely to be associated with the city. So if there's a tea board head office in Bengaluru, at least Bengaluru or at least Karnataka should be famous for tea. But I have not read about the fact. I have read a lot. I have read about resources. I have read about crops and cropping patterns. I have read about plantation systems. I know Karnataka is famous for coffee. Baba Budan Hills, if I am not incorrect, is a famous location for coffee cultivation. So let's say if the statement was about coffee board, I could have gotten confused that yes, coffee board could be there in Bengaluru, silk board could be there in Bengaluru, but tea has nothing to do with Karnataka or Bengaluru, in my opinion. So that is why I'm inclined to eliminate 3. I eliminate 3, I arrive at a 50-50. 50-50 between B and D. Let's see. So 4 is unambiguously correct according to this approach. 4 says the board has overseas offices at Dubai and Moscow. Could be again, and if you use the right heuristic, 4 ke upar, so we don't even have to think. 4 is correct. So we have to issue an option between 1 or 2 now. So either of these is correct. Let's look at both these statements again. One says the tea board is a statutory body. So this has one piece of trivia. That tea board statutory hai. One trivia. 2 says it's a regulatory body attached to Ministry of Agri and Farmers Welfare. This has 2 pieces of trivia. It is a regulatory body. Pehla piece of trivia. Attached to Ministry of Agri and Farmers Welfare. So let's say it is attached to Ministry of Agri and Farmers Welfare, but it is not a regulatory body. In that case, also statement 2 is incorrect. Let's say it is a regulatory body attached to, but not attached to this ministry. Then also this statement stands incorrect. Let's say it is neither a regulatory body nor is attached to Ministry of Agri and Farmers Welfare. Even in that case, it is incorrect. So the odds are only 25% that both of these pieces of trivia are right at the same time. On the other hand, one, either it is a statutory body or it is not. So there's a 50% chance. At least in my head, that is what my approach is. That is how I approach these questions. So I'm more inclined to believe that 1 is more likely than 2. That is why I mark D. Again, turns out to be the right answer. Right? I have repeated this over and over again. The only guaranteed way to arrive at the right answer is to have actually read that theme in advance. Whenever, as soon as you start applying heuristics, you start applying common sense, you are playing with probability. You can't be 100% certain that you will arrive at the right answer. But since the commission of late has started venturing outside the purview of common sources, it becomes imperative that you play with probabilities. And hence the need for a series like this. Let's come to the final question and conclude the video. Which one of the following best describes the term greenwashing? So for one, I knew about this directly. Conveying a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. So, 1 is correct without a shimmer of doubt. I knew this. But let's say even if you were not aware of what greenwashing is, you can solve it tangentially. But first read through all the 4 statements first. B says non-inclusion of ecological environmental cost in annual financial statements of the country. C says ignores the disastrous ecological consequence while undertaking infra development. D says making mandatory provisions for environmental cost in government project program. So if you go by the content, it is very difficult to have that resolution or have that preference of one option over another. I knew this directly, that is why I marked A. If I were not aware of it directly, I could have still solved it by using the word washing. So everybody has heard the term brainwashing. तुम ब्रेन वॉश मत हो जाओ उससे, वो वीडियो मत देखो, उससे ब्रेन वॉश हो जाओगे, उससे बात मत करो, that person brainwashes you. So what does that mean? It means that person conveys a false impression about certain some things. Similarly, using the knowledge of what brainwashing is, greenwashing also would be similar, but not in the domain of psychology, in the domain of ecology. So A, that way could have been right at using the knowledge of what brainwashing is. So similar sounding words, of course, etymologically have similar origins. Only the first part is different. That relates to brainwashing. So psychologically manipulating somebody. Greenwashing, manipulating the ecological and environmental consequences. So that is about it. I think we have now discussed the first 80 questions. Now I think you would see why elimination will never be dead in an objective type paper. When I stepped in the examination hall, I barely knew 15, 20 questions. I'm being absolutely honest, but I had this immense self-belief that I have studied for 5 long years for this examination. And I have put my heart and soul into this preparation. और अगर मेरी ये हालत है तो बाकी एस्पिरेंट्स की भी कोई हालत इससे बेहतर नहीं होगी. I completely believe in that. I knew by exhaustive analysis of previous questions that heuristics work like a charm. Heuristics का मतलब है common sense works like a charm. UPSC has a certain way of making these videos. A lot of people say that UPSC will get to know about these commonsensical methods. They want to try and find a way to negate all of this. Commission couldn't care less. Commission has a way to make these questions. You can also see these heuristics working in other papers that are made by the commission. Pick up the paper from CDS, NDA, IES, whatever paper, whatever objective type general awareness paper they conduct. You will see similar heuristics. They'll work in all of those papers across years. That is the way it works in my understanding. And my whole idea is to give that information out in the public domain so that everybody makes use of that information and gives themselves the best possible shot at clearing the examination. That is it from the video. If you have any counter arguments, if you have any counter propositions, if you have any doubts, feel free to engage in the comment box. If you think you want more of our updates, feel free to subscribe to the channel. If you think this could help a fellow aspirant, feel free to share the video. And if you want to see more of my work, go to the description box. I'm running a Telegram channel. I'm running a Telegram group where you could ask your doubts. And I'm also running an answer writing group in case you want to do answer writing. That is it from my side. I'm going to very quickly come with the final 2 videos and we're going to meet again soon. Thanks a lot for taking out time to watch this video. Take care. Bye.